things that you may end up making financial decisions that are just on the whim, off the cuff, and because it just seems the trendy thing that everybody else around you is doing.
Hi guys, welcome back to another finance discussion with Skilled Finances. My name is Lindy and this is Tando. If you're joining us for the first time, we're so excited to have you here. This is definitely the place to be if you want to learn skills about your personal finances with a focus on couples finances and family finances. If you're not already following us or subscribed, make sure you subscribe to our YouTube channel, follow us on all our socials, that's at Skilled Finances. And if you love listening to podcasts, you can find us on various podcast platforms.
So today we have yet another exciting discussion. The truth of the matter is this, right? Money mistakes are common and they're commonly done, and they happen a lot more than we realize sometimes. And sometimes we do them without even maybe realizing it's a mistake until after the fact. So today what we're going to really kind of touch upon is common money mistakes that you might be doing. Or you might want to avoid doing if you're potentially about to do them as well. But these are mistakes that we've done ourselves. You know, these are mistakes that we have done and have gone through. So hopefully when we share them with you today, it gives us some insights on, you know, why you would like to avoid being in this position and the kind of things that you might want to do instead. So let's dive into it.
To kick us off, what would you actually say is one common money mistake that people often make?
So I would say one of the common mistakes made is making big financial decisions during a time or a season of transition.
All right.
So when I say transition, so think about, you know, basically a big life event is happening.
Right.
So you might be getting married, you might be separating from your partner, moving out, you might be having a baby. You might be moving cities, moving countries. You might be starting a completely new job that requires you to travel more. Who knows? These are all sort of events that happen that are quite... You're transitioning into a new period, right? And in that transitioning period, you're not quite sure what your new life would look like.
Absolutely,
So it's then very, it's just cautionary, maybe should I say, to avoid making any big financial decisions in those seasons, because largely you're not aware yet enough to really understand the impact of that decision on your new situation. So, you know, one example of a big financial decision might include buying a house. It might include signing a long-term financial commitment, like a 5-year car loan. I don't know. It might include signing up to financially take care of somebody else. Things like that, where it's like, okay, this is not a small decision that I can just backtrack from. But this is quite a big financial decision. But if you're then you're making a big financial decision, you kind of need time to think about it anyway. Now, making that big financial decision whilst you're going through a financial transition or a life transition, even, it's a tough position to be in. And the mistake is not that you shouldn't make a decision, right? But it's just that you just need to be aware that, okay, this may not be the best decision for me at this time, just simply because I don't have all the facts in front of me about what my life would look like when we do move to another country.
That's true.
When we do have a baby, I have no clue, because it might be your first child. You might be like, I have no clue what our budget would look like for me to know whether I will still be able to afford this thing.
Absolutely.
Right? Or I have no idea if we'll be able to be committed to this financial commitment that we're going to sign on if we're about to like get married. I don't know what life would look like once we both move in together and things like that. So that's kind of what we're saying, that's something that you just want to think about. And it's a common mistake to be made, where you rush to make a financial decision based on your previous experience or your previous sort of life setup when you're going through a change in your life.
So I guess it would be good to just give it a minute, or just wait until you've transitioned and then do what you wanted to do. Like you were saying, you're not saying don't do it, but maybe don't do it right now.
That's right.
Kind of situation. So for me, another common money mistake that people make is thinking that their budgets are fixed. Now, this is one that I actually used to do myself, because I used to think, well, I'm on a salary and I get paid the same amount every month, except when you get bonuses. And I just used to think, well, the budget has to be set and fixed as well. But actually, when you really think about it, it's like different things happen every month. Like I may have every intention to save a certain way or invest a certain way or travel to this, that, and the other, right? But then life can happen and then things throw you off track. And then I'm just like, so because my budget's fixed, I don't really have that wiggle room anymore. But when you sort of budget from a mindset of, okay, I'll see how much I'm getting paid this month, and then I'll try and do my budget based on that. And if you think about it now, so a lot of us probably had set budgets during COVID, and whilst we were stuck at home, our budgets were fixed and set because there's not a lot of us that were going out, and there weren't like a lot of things that we could do because we're in lockdown. But now when you're thinking about it, everyone's out and about, everyone's visiting family, everyone's traveling. And imagine if you're trying to use your lockdown budget with your current situation now. It's like there wouldn't even be any balance. You wouldn't even be able to live on that sort of budget. You're now in a place where you're like, okay, let me wriggle the budget, or let me not fix it as much, but sort of set it every month. If there's something that I need to increase, I'll increase it. If there's something that I need to decrease, I'll decrease it. So I guess that was one for me.
Yeah, and I guess in addition to that, right, it's not just a matter of like you're transitioning from, say, working from home and living from home to now going in the office. Even if nothing really changes in terms of your lifestyle, every month has different things that come up. Like, you know, some months you'll find that, whoa, everyone in your family has a birthday, and it's like, right, I need to like somehow get gifts maybe, or plan some sort of event, and that's going to be a slightly more expensive month than the next month, because the next month nobody you know has a birthday in that month. So then it's like there's all these swings and roundabouts that you also need to think about. But yeah, fundamentally I agree with you, like your budget is not fixed. Your salary may be fixed, but that doesn't mean that your outgoings are fixed. And your rent payments and your household bills may be fixed. But largely we're talking about discretionary payments, right? So spending, food, transport, because equally, I'll put my hands up. I've realized that I spend a lot more, should I say, in hotter seasons than in the colder seasons.
Because you're out a lot more, aren't you?
Out a bit more. And all of a sudden I'm like, oh, you know, I fancied ice cream or a drink or whatever. Whereas when you're in the winter seasons, you're just like, I'm not going out, I'm staying home.
Yeah, I only like going out once. Like, let's go out to do the food shop.
If we really need
let's go home.
We're going out. But apart from that, I'm staying in the warmth. I'm not going out, unless if I really want to and I really need to. But, you know, even in that example, that's another situation where, your budget is not fixed. So,
absolutely.
100%.
Money, money, money. Something that a lot of us are not taught in school, but there's still an expectation for us to know what to do with it. And there's a lot to learn when it comes to money. You have to know how to manage it, how to save, where to invest, and loads more other things.
And this is exactly why we've put together the free 10-day money course for you to learn the foundations of how to be skilled with your finances. Over 10 days, we'll be sending you emails directly to your inbox for free, jam-packed with information from budgeting, debts, saving, insurance, investing, and so much more. Click the link in the description to sign up today, or go to skilledfinances.com/free money course.
All right, let's get back to today's discussion.
So for me, I would say that the third common mistake that a lot of people make when it comes to their finances is not reviewing your outgoings or your lifestyle when your income changes. And this is even if your income changes slightly. So for example, right now, we have a lot of things that are changing. One of those things is your income, because national insurance, tax, and student loan have changed. So that has an impact on your income. Now, what we tend to do is to just keep going. We tend to just keep going, right? You might even get a pay cut. You might even get a pay rise. Who knows? But like the mistake is not analyzing, right? My income has changed. What is the impact on my lifestyle in terms of my choices and my budget? And do I need to make any changes? And if I do need to make any changes, what do those look like? Particularly, it may not seem like a bad thing when you have a pay rise, because more money is always good. But if you have a pay cut, that kind of means that you need to then be like, I can't afford to live like I used to. So I need to make some changes.
Yeah.
So don't make this mistake. If your income has changed, analyze and review your outgoings. Sit down and think to yourself, well, what needs to change as well as my income?
Yeah.
Because of my income. And my income has gone down, what needs to change? Your income might actually be the same as well, but maybe the change is a lifestyle change. So like, coming back to the transitions that we mentioned earlier, maybe you now have a baby on in your life, and that's now another mouth to feed, another person to look after, another person to provide for, and another sort of person to raise, and that has an impact on your budget. But then if you try and maintain the same lifestyle that you had before the baby arrived, you might find that you're going to struggle.
Hard.
It might be hard, right?
It's hard.
So it's things like that where something changes, you don't review your outgoings because you just expect everything will be the same. But review your outgoings, especially when your income changes.
Absolutely. I'd say the fourth one for me is not being willing to learn.
Yeah.
When it comes to like the whole personal finance journey, right? Financial knowledge is key. And the good thing about in the world that we live in, it's freely available and it's readily accessible as well. So you think of books, you can literally go order a book on Amazon today and get it tomorrow. If you're thinking about, I need to learn how to budget, or how do I even put a budget together to begin with?
Right.
YouTube is there. You can literally go on YouTube and learn and find a way that works for you. You think social media, you've now got finance influencers. Go on their pages, they can tell you these are the sorts of things you can include in your budget, these are the sorts of categories you can have and things like that. So the knowledge, like the learning part, is down to you. If you want to learn, the stuff is readily available for 100%. You. But then if you're the type of person that's then like, well, no, not really, I'm not willing to learn, I'm not really that bothered, I'll just put down my rent and put down this and put down that, I'm not really bothered to learn about anything else. It's like,
I think you're touching a very good point here, because the truth of the matter is this: when it comes to money, there is a lot to learn. And it's part of the reason why we do what we do. But we can't do your learning for you. We can give you the information, we can give you the knowledge, but ultimately you're the one who has to learn for yourself and learn what works for you. Now, there's two types of knowledge to think about as well, right? There's book smart, which is I guess sort of hardcore knowledge. So that means maybe learning like about taxes, or learning the difference between defined contribution pension and defined benefit pension, and learning the terminology of certain words like compounding interest, or asset or capital or revenue. But that's just kind of book smart. On the other side, this, I guess, what you'd call street smart, which is more like experience. And sometimes you need to learn because you've put it into practice. So like what you said about budgeting, like we can tell you how to budget, but we can't learn that for you. You are the one who's going to have to then actually create a budget. And then as you're doing that, you're also learning, do I prefer an Excel spreadsheet budget, or do I prefer a cash envelope budget, or do I prefer
a notebook,
other method? And only you can learn that by practice. There's only so much reading you can do, or learning book smart you can do in that category. You kind of then have to put it in practice, and then also learn what your money habits are as you do that. So that's a very big one. So not being willing to take the time to learn is a huge mistake.
Absolutely. And I guess once you've learnt, make sure you put the stuff into action. We always say, knowledge is powerless without action. It's one thing to actually know how to do things, but it's a completely different thing to actually put it into practice.
100%.
Yeah.
The other common money mistake that I think a lot of people make, and you may be making this sort of unknowingly, is not really having a long-term financial strategy. I know those are very big words, but if I was to simplify it, is to basically like think about like, where do you want to be financially in 5 years or 10 years time? What does that look like for you? Even if it's not detailed, just an idea is great. It's greater than nothing. Just having some sort of long-term idea of, when it comes to my finances, 10 years from today or 5 years from today, I would love to be in this position. And that's kind of what I mean by having a long-term financial strategy. But by not having that, there's so many things that could happen. And the reason why I say this is a mistake, the first thing for me is that it leads you to chase trends. In the financial world, there's so many trends. So many trends, so many different things. In fact, some things are not trends per se, but they're just different things. So for example, you could invest in cryptocurrency, or NFTs, or property, or stocks and shares, or bonds, or index funds, or gold or fine art or wine, and that's just on the investing side.
Right.
Then you might be able to afford certain luxuries or certain things. May not afford it, but you might be able to think. You might start to think yourself even that I'd love to go to like this holiday. Everyone's going there. Like I'd love to do that as well. Or whatever the case is. There's so many different things that you may end up making financial decisions that are just on the whim, off the cuff, and because it just seems the trendy thing that everybody else around you is doing. When what you really need is just to ask yourself, where do I want to be in 5 years' time? And like I said, that doesn't need to be detailed, but you need to have some idea at least.
Exactly.
And that will then direct your decisions.
Yeah.
So if you're the person who's saying, for instance, in 5 years' time, I want to be debt-free and have some investments and have some money invested for my retirement. Well, you might then turn around and say, in that case, investing in NFTs sounds great and I might do it one day, but not right now, because right now I'm working towards becoming debt-free or something like that. You know, when you have a long-term sort of plan in your mind, your financial decisions become very clearer because you're no longer kind of looking for the next thing and just following the crowd. You're making decisions that fit your purpose.
Absolutely.
You know what I'm saying? So that's the first, that's one of the reasons why this becomes a financial mistake for you.
Absolutely. And I guess when you're thinking about long-term financial strategies, I guess sometimes we, as people, it's very easy to just look at a situation and think, my current situation right now, if I'm saying I want to own 5 properties in 5 years, but my current situation does not match that dream, don't let things like that put you off. It's very easy to feel like, oh, well, with what I have, there's no way I can reach that. But if there's anything I've learned in life, it's remain positive and put things out there. For some, it's put things out in the universe. For some, it's actually have faith that just because you're in the situation right now, don't let that stop you from having a long-term financial strategy. If your strategy is having 5 properties in the future, you can work at those things and actually make them happen. So it's remain positive and just have faith that those things will actually happen.
Yeah, and that's a very good point, because when you do have a plan of like, okay, this is where I'm trying to get to, even if it seems impossible based on your present circumstances, the longer you keep the same sort of vision in mind, the more your brain or your mind or like the way things work will start to just open up for you and be like, I didn't realize this. I didn't know this. So if your goal is to get 5 properties in 5 years and you're thinking, I don't even have any money, you might all of a sudden be connected to somebody who has money but doesn't have time to look for properties, and all of a sudden you're in partnership with somebody, and that's not something that you didn't even know them and you didn't even think about. But just because you were very clear about where you're trying to get to, all of a sudden you start to learn the right things. And this comes back to what we were saying earlier on about learning. When you're clear about your long-term goal, your learning also becomes very directed, because you're not going to try and learn about every single thing. You're going to learn about the thing that is in line with your plan and your goal and your vision.
Absolutely. So I guess those are the 5 things we had to share with you guys today. If you've actually found what we've had to say useful, let us know in the comments section. If you've actually got other common mistakes that you can think of, share them in the comments section. We'd love to hear about them.
Absolutely. So we've had another amazing time with you. We're so glad you've joined us. Leave us a review as well if you listen to this on the podcast. And definitely, we can't wait to see you soon.